You're at the Watchmen Way, 12720. Uh, I'm not selling anything. I don't charge any fees for anything I do. I don't accept donations. All I ask is that if you learn anything here that you benefit from, you pay it forward. You pay it forward now by reaching out to your friends and relatives, neighbors, trying to red pill them and get them prepared. I'll tell you in a minute what they're going to be prepared for. Um, Pay it forward through a rough patch when the economy collapses with extra food and water. And then in the recovery phase, you pay it forward with profits from your Litecoin and silver, which I'll talk about in a second. I was called by God in 2014 to be a watchman. He wanted me to warn as many people as I could, as quickly as I could, about the first ever worldwide economic collapse that we're on the cusp of. It's going to happen any day. The worldwide draining of the swamp, the same thing. We're close. And the exposure of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring that's been ruling the world since Babylon. The Vatican, the Pope, the royal family, former U.S. presidents, politicians, CEOs, celebrities, newscasters, judges. It's going to rock the world when this comes out. So God showed me these things, also showed me physical silver and Litecoin as a way to protect ourselves against what's coming with the economy. Also showed me Carbon 60, which is a supplement everybody should look at. And then about 2 weeks ago, he called me again. Now, from the beginning, we've talked about, with our silver and Litecoin profits, with part of that money, we would pay it forward. I never made this connection before, but 2 weeks ago, God told me that there was an adjustment, and it's more how I present it, right? Is that what we're going to donate, the Watchmen who have been accumulating all of this silver and Litecoin, we are going to, with those profits, we are going to lay the foundation of God's new old church. Anybody who's done their Bible history would know that when Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, the church he wanted was called the Way. And basically what that is the way you live your life, the way to heaven, living your life every day like you're in church. That's basically, God never intended church to be in a building. Church is in all of us. He's in all of us. He doesn't want any priests. He doesn't want any bishops. He doesn't want any popes, because you see what happens when man gets involved in religion and corrupts it. The Way, is virtually incorruptible. We don't give our donations to a priest. We take our donations and we put it directly in the hands of the needy in our communities. Instead of sending it to the Vatican, a half a world away, God knows what's going to happen to the money. Very seldom is going to get back to your own community. Again, you don't give money to the church, you give it to the community. There's no hierarchy. There's no leaders in the Way. Uh, everybody's equal. Everybody is trying to live their life every day. Um, the being the best person they can be, living their life in the service of others. That's what the way is all about. It's. I defy anyone to give me a religion um, that compares to this. God's not happy with church. Not happy with the Catholic Church. Not happy with 501c3 churches. He doesn't want the government in church. Not happy with how people use the Bible. He's got no problem with the Bible, although I think it's been manipulated. Um, it's how a lot of people that call themselves Christians use the Bible as a weapon to beat people with, to embarrass people with, to shame people with. That's not what God intended for the Bible. The Bible is supposed to be a book of comfort, not of war. Uh, Anybody who thinks they're doing God's work by criticizing somebody using the Bible is barking up the wrong tree, because that's not what God wants. God wants us to be good to each other. God will do the judging. It's not up to us to judge. Um, a good example is by now everybody knows I'm going through a divorce, and um, I had actually people who had no clue what was going on in a relationship criticize me for wanting to leave my wife, and without knowing the facts, without understanding what's going on. Um, I've said all I want to say about that. If you want to know about it, you go back and look. I think I talked about it in a video last week or the week before. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Except for the fact that everyone's going to get what they deserve in how this all plays out. Not only in my situation, but I think for everyone. I think, God's been telling me over and over again, everything that's hidden will be known. I think that's everything. I don't think it's just the government or the church. I think that's everybody. We're going to know about your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You know the truth about who everyone is. I don't think you're going to be able to hide it. I think what's happening, and I'm seeing it right now, good people are getting better and bad people are getting worse, getting more evil. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it. I've actually just on the internet, I can see it. You're starting to see, uh, especially like the deep state. Those people are gearing up, and I think in our personal lives, a lot of questions are going to be answered um, as we move through this. We're going through a shift, guys. There's no question in my mind that our consciousness uh, is being raised here for the people that are ready. I think there are people who are not ready, who are still stuck in, fear and jealousy and things that aren't conducive to a raising of consciousness. You've got to have an open mind, and you can't hold grudges. I've got no ill will towards anyone. I don't care what they've done to me. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't change who I am. It's more a reflection of who they are than who I am. So what they do or what they say, let them go. In the end, God's going to be the ultimate judge. And I think the truth is going to come out for all of us eventually. And I don't think that we got to wait too long because things are moving pretty fast. I don't know how the economy can make it another 2 weeks. It dropped 450 points today, 170 on Friday, I think. You will see what happens tomorrow. The repo program is gone sour. I think they had to come up with 500 billion just to keep the banks afloat the past 3 months. And it might have been just this month to catch up. They had to come up with another 500 billion. The debt is overwhelming the system, guys. There's world record debt around the world, and they're lying to us about what it really is, because it's probably 3 or 4 times what they're saying it is. They're saying the worldwide debt is like 255 trillion, and America's debt is 250 trillion. At least, I think. That's a fact. Based on what they've hidden, which is about 22 trillion, what we know, which is like 23 trillion, plus all the unfunded liabilities, Medicare and Social Security, that adds up to say 250 trillion. Then the rest of the world. The problem is it's becoming difficult to service the debt. You got to make payments on all that money. And the governments around the world are having a hard time now. And of course, the banks, the economy is tanking. Look beyond the unemployment rate, which is phony, and the stock market, which is manipulated. It's not good. It can't go on. This economy. Somebody, I think on the chat last night said that, if President Trump doesn't get impeached, the economy's going to be okay. No, the impeachment has nothing to do with this, guys. President Trump has nothing to do with this. President Trump has no control over the economy. The first thing you have to understand is the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank, not run by the government, not run by President Trump, they have more control over the economy than President Trump does. This is a mathematical certainty. It doesn't make any difference what anyone does. God is the only person that can save this economy right now. It can't be saved. It's the debt is too crushing. It can never be repaid. What's going to happen is there's going to be a reset. When the economy collapses, they'll declare a reset and everything will be wiped out. No one will owe anyone anything. That's going to be the final result. Whether they do that up front or they wait a year, that's where we're going to end up. But it's going to come down no matter what happens. Don't think that the impeachment has anything to do with this. This has been coming because of 2 things. The Federal Reserve coming into play in 1913, was voted in 1913, actually opened in 1914. And then going off the gold standard in 1971. Those 2 things, plus Clinton removing all of the restrictions on the banks in the late 90s, left it clear sailing for these banks to steal us blind. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why we're at the point we're at today, and there's nothing that can save this deal. It's going. So, and guys, it's a good thing. If you know it's coming and you've bought Litecoin and silver, you're going to be money ahead. Even though you're going to lose all your assets, all your paper assets in this collapse around the world are going to go to zero. Bank accounts, pension funds, 401ks, retirement accounts, annuities, stocks, bonds, all going to go to zero. Anything on paper is going to be worthless. You got to have assets outside the system, and that's where the physical silver and the Litecoin come in. These numbers sound crazy, but in the Bible it tells us anything that's taken from us, stolen from us, will be returned sevenfold. Well, trillions of dollars have been stolen from us over the last 100 years. It's all going to be returned in the next 2. And God wants it to go in the hands of his people this time instead of the evil, the satanic pedophiles that have controlled it for thousands of years. God wants it in his hands, his followers' hands, and with it, we're going to reestablish the way as a viable alternative. And that's why God wants it. He wants it ready now because the Catholic Church is coming down this year. The Pope's going to resign. He's going to announce that 70% of priests are homosexuals and 50% are pedophiles. The church is coming down this year. God wants the way to be ready to fill the void when the Catholic Church collapses. The Pope is a satanic pedophile. The Pope has tortured and murdered children, as well as most of the people in the Vatican. This is going on all over the world, guys. I know it's horrific. You don't want to believe me. There's going to be plenty. There already is plenty of evidence. Look up the Hillary Clinton snuff video. Look up Frazzle Drip. Look at who's been to Epstein Island, Pedo Island. Can you explain to me why the Pope would want to go to Pedo Island? Why Bill Clinton would want to go to Pedo Island over 20 times? Why Hillary Clinton would want to go to Pedo Island multiple times? Because they're satanic pedophiles. That's why. Epstein ran a honeypot. This isn't me talking crazy here. They've got hundreds of these, the richest, most powerful people in the world on video. Epstein had video running at Pedo Island, his mansion in Florida, and his ranch in New Mexico. For years, he's been collecting this video, and President Trump and the NSA have all of it. These people are going down before the 2020 election. Economy going down, swamp going down, pedophiles going down. We got to be prepared for it. Extra food, extra water, medical supplies, ammo, physical silver, and Litecoin. Then you got to go to some of the prepping sites on YouTube and round out your prepping based on your own personal needs. Where you live, what you can grow, what you have on hand, how close you are to the stores, how close you are to a big city. All those things come into play when you're looking at this stuff. Don't wait. We've got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I don't think we're going to see the worst. The worst case scenario is power goes out, grocery stores are out of food. If we don't have food in those stores in 7 days, the shit's going to hit the fan. I don't think we're going to go 7 days without food. I think President Trump is on top of this. If he keeps the power on and keeps food in the grocery stores, we'll get through this fine. Even the people who aren't prepared, I think will get through it. They might struggle. They might not eat every day, but they're not going to starve. Excuse me. And they'll come out of it on the other side. Now, of course, it would be really nice to come out of the other side with assets so that you can launch on the reset instead of struggling, crawling out of the reset, with maybe little or no help. There's talk about like a seed fund based on how much you've paid into your Social Security, that everybody would get a check based on that. Obviously, older people, they'd be getting more. Younger people would be getting less, which makes sense. And then everybody would have a little bit of seed money to get the economy restarted. That's awesome. Awesome plan. Think it's going to work great. Now, in that situation, wouldn't it be awesome to have basically unlimited funds to work with? Just think of the good you could do. Everything's going to be cheaper. Everything. Property, materials, labor. When people have funds and the right mindset, there's a lot of things we can accomplish in a short period of time. And that's what the website's all about. We've got a page on there now looking for suggestions on projects. And how I see this going, guys, is, I am not a preacher. I'm not. I don't want to be a pope. I don't want to be a religious leader. I'm a messenger. It's my job to get the ball rolling here. And then I see the Watchmen. Not that we're going to continue doing our work, but one of the main things is a resource for people that are wanting to get involved in this. Things they can do, projects they can work on, even taking applications from people who have a project, don't have the funds, but they have the manpower and they need funding. We're going to do things like that. Hopefully, we're going to have a lot of assets to work with here. I'm feeling pretty good about it based on the number of people we're getting involved. The more people we wake up, guys, the bigger this thing's going to be. And there's going to be a huge need for it. Can you imagine all the Catholics? And I was raised Catholic. I was an altar boy. I went to parochial school. But I also learned by the time I was 12 how corrupt they are. Same with our government, the deep state. All that's changing, guys. We're getting a new world. We're getting the world that God wants us to have and the world that our founders intended us to have. That's all coming. We're going to have the greatest transfer of wealth in human history and running into man's greatest age. I wouldn't trade places with anybody in the world as far as a time I would have wanted to live. They're going to talk about this 10 years, the last 5 and the coming 5, for thousands of years. Thousands of years they're going to be talking about this. Because we're finally going to eradicate this evil that's been ruling over us. 800,000 children a year go missing in America alone. Look it up. Think about that. How come the politicians, you never hear a peep about that? Because they know where those kids are going. They're getting snatched off the streets. Many of them by the CIA, and it's covered up by the FBI. The CIA has been running, I hope they're shut down now, have been running breeding farms, human breeding farms. The cute kids, they sold into child sex trafficking, and the homely kids, they sold into sale for organs, organ harvesting, body parts. Imagine that. Selling babies for their body parts. Hearts, lungs, livers, kidneys, and throwing the bodies away. Taking what they want and disposing of the bodies. That's what's been going on. God's not happy, and it's coming to an end. That's why President Trump's here. That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing for 5 years. That's why I had my stroke. Just so wound up about how long this is taking, and every day that it goes on, there are kids suffering, going through this. The Hillary Clinton snuff video is horrific. I'm not even going to describe it now, but do your own homework. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. The biggest gift I can give you guys is use your critical thinking skills and discernment. Have an open mind. If you do that, use your head, really analyze what's going on, you'll get through this fine. Being prepared is not just a physical thing. It's physical, spiritual, and mental. So you've got to think about all the things that could happen. You've got to be in that spirit of being in service, living your life in service of others. Listen, what's the ultimate goal of Christians, which most of us are, I think? It's to get to heaven, right? Well, listen, I can tell you one thing. We're all going to die someday. I could go tomorrow. I mean, I don't want to. I want to see the end of this thing. But if God says, I'm through with you, and, hey, I think what we're going to find is, when we finally get there, we're going to wonder why we fought so hard to stay here, because it's going to be so awesome. Even though what's coming is going to be the best mankind has ever seen. It's going to be heaven on earth, but that's not heaven in heaven, right? It's still going to be a big difference. But it's going to be way better than what we've had. Because what we've had is a group of people, evil people, that their objective was to create fear and chaos and steal us blind and eventually murder 7 billion of us, because they wanted the worldwide population to be 500 million. It's on the UN website, Agenda 2030, look it up. In 10 years, they want the worldwide population to be 500 million. It's 7.5 billion today. How does that happen when the life expectancy is going up every year? Doesn't happen unless they've got some real evil plans. And they did. They were going to start a nuclear war with North Korea. That was their plan. That's how they were going to take us out. That's how they were going to get our guns. They're just going to nuke us. Go ahead, you can have your guns. That all changed with President Trump winning the election. I think that if Hillary would have been elected, we were going to get the physical Armageddon. And when we elected President Trump, we got the mostly spiritual. He gave us a break because we elected President Trump. If you notice, President Trump's first number one objective was eliminating human trafficking, specifically child sex trafficking. That one got over. And I think we're seeing Armageddon being played out right now behind the scenes. Mostly we haven't seen it, but there's been a lot going on behind the scenes the last 3 years. And we're gonna know all of this. I think within a year, 18 months at the outside, we'll know the whole thing. Not only what's been going on the last 30, 40 years that have been really bad, but from Babylon, the whole history. I think we're going to know all of it. About religion, about the Bible. We're going to get the whole story, the whole truth. It's going to be awesome. 0 point energy. Cures for almost every ailment known to man. They've been repressing, holding this stuff back because there's no money in a cure for cancer. They wanted to torture us to death with chemotherapy. These people are evil. They have to be removed. Whether we execute them or they go to prison for the rest of their lives, they can't come back. And I think most of them, I think anybody guilty of murder or treason, they're going to execute. So be it. I know they need to go. Because once that evil is removed, just think about this now. The evil that is removed, that's been responsible for every war, every terrorist attack, every false flag for the last 300 years, that evil removed, and then the world practicing the way, living their lives in the service of others. What kind of world do you think we're going to have then? That's where we get the heaven on earth. Because people left to their own devices, I think, are basically good. It's when the evil gets in there and starts manipulating and corrupting and shaping the way they want to see it, which we know is not in our best interest. We're headed in a completely different direction. And it's going to bring us a completely different world. A world where only one parent's going to have to work. A world where we have a pure educational system, probably all done online, all the way from K. The mom will be probably, or the dad, whatever, will be staying home. One will be staying home with the kids as they do their lessons on the computer. And the other one will make enough money for them to all live comfortably, take vacations, have extra money to spend, and not be stressed. The way this is all played out has been engineered. The whole thing, both parents working, the schools taking over the raising of our kids, the propaganda they were fed, was all by design. We were this close to losing the whole thing. But not anymore. It's over. There's nothing they can do. This is over except for the cleanup and the celebration. You know, days or weeks, guys, not months or years. We're close. Um, oh, before I forget, POTUS made a statement in the last day or two. I told you guys this was coming. He basically said, no one's going to take guns. President Trump made a statement that said no one's going to take anybody's guns. He will write an executive order to wipe out anything this clown in Virginia or any other state tries. No, President Trump will never allow them to take our guns. Write it down. End of story. Ignore the distractions. I've been telling you guys. Impeachment, nothing but a distraction. Turn it off. They have no crime. Impeachment requires a high crime or misdemeanor. There is no crime in either article, guys. They cannot convict him. It's over. It was over before it started. This is all a dog and pony show to distract us and keep us away from Epstein, Nexium, Pedo Island, and the satanic pedophile ring. That is the mother of all bombs. That's what they know they cannot come back from. They know if this gets out, they're finished. They know that they'll get chased down in the streets. They'll want to get arrested because people will trace them down in the streets and hang them when they find out what they've been doing. When they see the videos, and they're going to be out there. There are going to be websites that you can log into to see the evidence that they're using in these trials. They're coming down, guys. We got to be ready. We got to be prepared. We got to be ready. Not only, now this is a much bigger scope, right, guys, of what we're doing here. Because we've got to be ready for especially the Catholics, because that's where the biggest flood is going to come from. Those people that are just totally disheartened and looking for answers. And this is going to be the answer for them, because there's no way to corrupt this. It's as pure as a religion can get. And if anybody, and again, guys, critical thinking skills, discernment. If you think that what I'm saying is wrong, prove me wrong and bring it back to me and we'll talk about it. That's how it's supposed to work. But you're not going to find anything, because you can't criticize anything about the way. There's nothing you can criticize about it. Telling the truth, doing the right thing, living your life in the service of others. How can you do any better than that? If that's what you're doing every single day, tell me a religion that makes more sense than that, that's more pure than that. I'm waiting, because there aren't any. Everything else has been corrupted by man, one way or another, and most of them radically. Nothing compares to this. Nothing. And I'm all ears, guys. I'm waiting. If somebody has something, please send it to me, because I haven't seen it in my 64 years, and it's not out there. I mean, you got some of the Eastern religions that you could say are maybe close, but, you know, I don't think anything's this pure. There's no money. I mean, there's nothing here. There's nothing to control. That's why organized religion doesn't want anything to do with this, because you don't need a priest even when you're practicing the way. Jesus's original church. This is what this is. This isn't my idea, guys. Do your research. Go look it up. This was what Jesus wanted. This is what he called for 2,000 years ago. And now we're going to reestablish it and have it ready to go. Okay, guys, let's see what we got for questions. Okay, just let me make sure. Let's see what we got here. John, how you doing? Michael, Mike, Lisa, Rita, how you guys doing? Litecoin is claiming till February. I'm not sure what that's about, Rita. If you're talking about not having coins available until February, um, if that's what they're telling you, usually it's much quicker. So a lot of times they'll tell you your coins will be available by a certain date. Usually it's several days before that. I just made a transfer Thursday or Friday. They told me it would be this week, and it was actually on Friday. So thanks, David. Tessie, how you doing? Tom, hello. Cousin Bill. Tessie, what's my answer going to be? You know what my answer is going to be. It doesn't make any difference whether he testifies or not. Ignore it. Turn it off, guys. I'm telling you. Don't ask another question about impeachment. There is going to be no impeachment. When you watch this crap, you're playing right into their hands. They want you watching this garbage, so you're distracted. Same thing's going to happen with impeachment that's going to happen with the Second Amendment enrichment. What did I tell you 2 weeks ago? Nothing's going to come of it. And people wasted 2 weeks of time. They could have been waking people up with crap. Use your heads. You got to be smarter than the enemy. Turn it off. Quit watching the mainstream media. Do your own research on the internet. You're wasting your time with mainstream media. These guys are all in deep shit, guys. Listen, this is over. Days or weeks, they're going to be locked up at Gitmo. And the numbers are going to be mind-boggling. Bill, how you doing? Danielle? I don't know, Danielle. All you have to do is go to the so for the new people, don't ever wait for the notification for the chat. You can pretty much almost every day, except I missed one, and it was late. Yesterday. Anyway, 5 o'clock. Just go to the Watchmen page at 5 o'clock, and you'll see me. I'll scroll down, and I'll be there. That's the easiest way, I think, to find me. Then after that, usually by 7:30, I've got it posted to my page and then 15 other groups. I think we're getting out to over 50 or 60,000 people now a day with all the groups we're involved with. Mark, how you doing? Darren's asking how much I think silver will be. Okay, so here's the drill. Right now, I think gold is I'm going to say 1,500 just to be safe. It's in that ballpark, 1,500. Silver's about $18 or something, whatever it is. Silver should be 10% of the price of gold. The historical average is 10 to 1. For 5,000 years, it's been 10 to 1. That's how it comes out of the ground. 10 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. It makes sense. They manipulate it for the past 30 years now, plus. And that's why we have the price we have. It should be 150 an ounce right now. When the manipulation is removed, probably when the economy collapses, that's all going to change. So it's initially going to shoot up to 10% of gold, I think. And now here's the tricky part. China, Russia, and America have gold-backed currencies ready to be to roll out after all this goes down. Some economists believe that gold, when they do that, they'll have to revalue gold between $50,000 and $85,000 an ounce. Like within the next few months, whenever they go to the gold-backed currency, that's what they'll do. Based on the amount of gold we think there is in the planet available and the money supply they need. That's what they figure gold will be worth. That puts silver right then at $5,000, right? I think eventually there is new technology coming out that requires loads of silver. I think within 10 years, silver will surpass gold in value. So in 10 years, I think silver is going to be 50,000 an ounce plus. Because in 10 years, if gold is 50,000 an ounce in a year, who knows what it's going to be in 10 years? It could be 100, 250, who knows? It's a good investment. Not as good as Litecoin. I think by summer, silver could be in the 500 to 1,000 range. I think by summer, Litecoin will be in the $1,000 range. I think Litecoin is eventually going to get to $3 million a piece by 2024. It's $58, I think, before I came on. You can pay $58 today for something that could be worth $3 million in 4 years. That's why you want Litecoin and you want physical silver. Stay away from Bitcoin. Stay away from gold. Silver is going to outperform gold. Litecoin is going to outperform Bitcoin by a huge margin. I think Litecoin will have the best return on investment of any asset in history. This is a one-time in world history event, guys. What we're going to go through in the next year with the economy and this transfer of wealth, it's never happened before. It will never happen again. This is it. Don't miss the boat. You'll kick yourself the rest of your life if you miss this opportunity. You got to buy as much Litecoin as you can. You want, depending on how much, 50-50 silver to Litecoin. I'm actually 60-40 Litecoin to silver because I think Litecoin is going to be more valuable. I've got good chunks of both. So, you got to have both, right? You got to have some silver because here's the problem with Litecoin. What happens if the internet goes down? I don't think it'll go down for long, but you won't be able to use your Litecoin if it does. It's going to come back up. No problem with losing your Litecoin. The internet can go down. When it comes back up, your Litecoin will still be there. But the silver you can use if there's an EMP or whatever where the power goes out, you can't use your Litecoin, you'll have your silver to use. And you also want at least $200 or $300. If you go to the bullion site that we post, it's either SD Bullion or JM Bullion, look under junk silver, you want about $300 at least of 1964 dimes. 1964 or older dimes, Roosevelt dimes they call them. You find them under junk silver at they're 90% silver. You find them under junk silver on the bullion sites. You want about $300 plus. Those you can barter with. Got to remember, silver goes to 1,000 an ounce, and all you have is 1 ounce rounds, and you need a loaf of bread, and nobody's got any change. That 1 ounce round isn't going to do you any good if it's $1,000, right? If the 1 ounce round is 1,000, the dime will be worth around 100, 90 to 100. You can clip the dime and make it smaller if you need to for change, right? You can't do that with a minted coin. So you want the dimes for sure. For sure, $300 in dimes and as many Litecoin as you can get. And you might as well get it because whatever you have in the bank is going to be lost. So better to have it in Litecoin or silver, assets outside the system that are going to be worth a lot more down the road. Anybody that has any questions, message me. I've been posting my phone number. Text me or call me. I hardly ever pick up, but leave a message. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Sandy, how you doing? Thanks, David. David sharing. Yeah, I know, Mark. Trust me, I know. But listen, this is in God's hands now, God and President Trump. And we have to trust them that they're doing the right thing. There are reasons that it's taking this long. There are good reasons it's taking this long. So we just have to hang in there and keep spreading the word. We need to red pill as many people as we can every day. Got to keep working, guys. George, how you doing? We all are tired, Mark. That's what this is all about. Listen, I've told you guys a story. In 1967, I knew this was bad. I didn't see any way we could get through this and get the country our founders wanted us to have. We're there. We're there. It's happening right now. We should all be ecstatic. Mark's asking about the governors. Yes, I think Newsom is going to be arrested before the 2020 election. I think Brown in Oregon is going to be arrested before the 2020 election. They're part of the swamp. You know, it's just not Washington. This swamp is worldwide. There's 140,000 sealed indictments, guys, nationwide. The average is 3,500 a year. There's 140,000 right now. You can look it up on the DOJ website. They're taking down a lot of people, a lot of politicians. It's going to be awesome. They're all going down, guys. Nobody is going to escape justice. Ruth, how you doing? Joan, how you doing? Linda, hello. Yeah, ignore the distractions. Anybody talking about gun control? Anybody talking about censorship? Ignore it. It's not going anywhere. Let President Trump do his job. We need to focus on our job. This is the most important thing any of us can be doing right now. If you want to help your fellow Americans and Christians, this is the most important thing you can be doing. We're changing people's lives every day. Everybody that listens to the message that we're delivering, their lives are changed forever. If you've got 5 or 10 Litecoin and $300 worth of silver, and you hold that for 5 years, your life is changed forever. You're going to be able to do some good with your life on both levels, you know. Randy, how you doing? Chad, what's up? Kevin and Travis, what's going on? Okay, guys. We got to be positive out there. This is scary stuff. It's not scary if you see the big picture. The problem is that everybody's like this, right? Tunnel vision, can't hardly see 2 feet in front of their face. So, you know, they hear financial collapse, worldwide financial collapse, and, you know, the panic buttons go off. Nothing to panic about, nothing to fear. Has to happen. It's for the betterment of mankind. The swamp draining, betterment of mankind. Would you rather have these pedophiles, these monsters running around free, stealing our kids off the street? You know, that's a horror movie right there. I want them locked up. This has to happen, guys. For us to have the world we want, this has to happen. Now's the time. Time to buckle up. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. I'll see you tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless.